Sai Ram. Very good morning and welcome to you all, dear students. Today we are doing the third and the final session of our chapter, Whatever We Do. Students, we will go to the assignments which I had given you in the second session. Shall we go? Hopefully you have all done your assignments. So let us check out how you have done. Here are the answers. The question was mark right or wrong after reading the sentences. That means you have a selection of sentences and you have to mark the right one or the wrong one, whether it is right or wrong. The first one was, a doctor should not speak nicely and reassuringly to his patients. That is wrong. He should keep a stern and unsmiling face when a patient comes for consultation. Answer is wrong. In paragraph 8, the first auto rickshaw driver spoke to the author rudely. Right or wrong? The answer is wrong. He refused to take the author to his destination. The first auto driver refused to take the author to his destination. What have you written? If you've written it is wrong, that is a right answer. Now, the next question, the second auto rickshaw driver was very helpful. That is right. He drove the author to his destination. That is the wrong answer. Okay. Now the next. When a person approaches us to beg for alms, we must tell him to go to the next person. That is not correct. It is wrong. We should either give him the money, give him some money, or we should tell, please, in a nice, respectful way, I cannot, I'm sorry, please excuse me. Is that not? That's what we spoke last time about, isn't it? A function is being conducted in a public hall. Those who are not invited are not permitted entry. So you have a choice of two notices. Uninvited persons not permitted. Only invited persons permitted. So the first one is wrong and the second one is right. Why is this so? You may ask. Both the notices are saying the same thing. But what is the difference? Here, only invited persons permitted. You are saying it in a very polite way. It is spoken in a positive, good and polite manner, right? Next, when you go to a restaurant, which of these notices would you like to see? What is your answer? I'm sure most of you would have, or all of you would have written, kindly make room for waiting customers. Both these sentences are saying the same thing. Please leave the table after your meal. But in the first sentence, it is said in a polite way. Second sentence is not polite enough. So, the second sentence is wrong. The question 2, how do you think doctors can improve their image with their language? The answer, doctors can improve their image by talking nicely to their patients. They should speak reassuringly and in a friendly manner. I hope you understood the sentence. Next, question 3. What difference do you find in the auto rickshaw driver's response? Discuss. The first auto rickshaw driver simply downed the meter without saying a word. This was a clear indication that he was willing to take his customer to his destination. However, it would have been nice if he said a few polite words such as, "Please get in." The second driver could not give a ride, but he called another auto. He called, both the words have the same meaning. He called another auto and helped the customer. This shows that we can refuse in a pleasant way. We can say no in a pleasant way. Question 4. If we decide to give alms to a beggar, how should we give it? Answer. We should say, "Here, take this," nicely and with some feeling of compassion. We should not give in a rude manner. So these were our question and answers to the last session assignments. I hope and I'm sure most of you would have written something on these lines, that because you would have understood the lesson well before writing the answers. Now, before we go on to the session 3, which is the final session of this chapter, I request you all to have with you an English to English dictionary as well as an English to Kannada dictionary, because this will help you understand and enjoy the lesson. So shall we go on to our next session? During the last 2 sessions, we saw how the author explains how we must be in different situations. For instance, about the 2 people who got into the lift and were taking packages out, or when we go to a restaurant, or when we go to a doctor, how the doctor should be. So many examples of how we can be courteous and kind and polite in our daily lives. So in this session, he talks about communication. What is communication? Communication means expressing your feelings to somebody, somewhere. Now, when I am speaking to you like this, I am communicating with you. Is it not? In a similar way, when we speak on a phone, we are communicating or sharing our ideas and feelings with somebody who's listening to us at the other end on another phone. So all these technological help that we have today for communication. Technological, please don't get confused by that word. Technological means using modern technologies for communication. We have the internet, we have WhatsApp, even the television is a mode of communication. Ideas are being shared. I hope, dear students, that you have understood the meaning of communication. If you have not fully understood, I request you to just have a look at your dictionary so that it is clear in your mind. All right? Now, let us read this. It is our practice to be brief while sending telegrams. Now, what is a telegram? a telegram was used in the earlier days to send some urgent messages to the people we wanted to communicate with, to the people who are at the other side. It is not a telephone, but it was in the form of a small written note, a very brief note. That's what it says here. It is our practice to be brief, to use minimum words while sending telegrams. Here again, the reason is brevity. What is the meaning of the word brevity? Brevity means being very brief. That's all. Brevity sounds like a little difficult word, but actually it is very simple. Using very few words. That is the meaning of the word brevity. We want to save words in order to cut costs. Now, I'll tell you, dear students, that you may not at all be knowing about what is a telegram. For many of you, this word you might be hearing for the first time. But in the earlier days, people used to send telegrams and they used to use the minimum words. Why? Because each word was costing something. One word costs this much rupees, 10 rupees, 15 rupees. So every word that you put, you have to spend 15 rupees for one word. That is how the telegram was. So if someone wants to request his brother to receive him at the station, he might send a telegram somewhat like this. So somebody is going from Bangalore to Mumbai. So he is sending a telegram to his brother in Mumbai saying, reaching Mumbai, Thursday, stop. Shatabdi, stop. Meet station. Now, I will explain this. Why is he using the minimum words? Because he wants to save money. And also because telegrams were like that. It is not like a long letter written. You can't write too many details, only the important details. So here, what was he trying to tell his brother by this telegram? I will be reaching Mumbai on Thursday. Stop means full stop. I will be coming by the Shatabdi. Please meet me at the station. Now all those words have been made into this short communication using very few words. So what the author is asking is, now just for the sake of one single word, the telegram has become totally devoid of any courtesy. What is he saying here? Just one word was needed to make this telegram sound courteous or polite. What was that word? What could be the additional cost of adding please? He's saying a person has used all these words. Can he not use one more word, please? Even if it means spending a little extra money? That means what he's saying is, even a small thing like a telegram can be made to sound polite. That is the meaning of this entire sentence. Okay, so now let us go to the next paragraph. Nowadays, the telegram has been relegated to the background due to the coming of the telephone and the internet. What is the meaning of this sentence? The meaning of the word relegated is become of less importance. Here the author is saying the telegram is not any more important. Nobody even knows what it is nowadays. It is not used at all. Now what do we have? We have the telephone and the internet. But have we solved the issue of courtesy? He says that even if we have all these modern gadgets or instruments like internet and telephone, have we become more courteous? What do you feel, dear students? Do you think that we have become more polite than before? This is his question here. Have we become more courteous? Don't we see, or should I say hear, people ask, who's this? Instead of saying, may I know who is calling, please? When you're speaking on a phone, people ask, who's this? Whereas there is a better way of saying, who's this? What is a better way? May I know who is calling, please? But what do we hear nowadays? Who is this? Is it not? So, there is no improvement from earlier days. That is what he is telling us. In a certain book on communication, I found a very interesting method of asking who is calling. Now, what happens is there are many ways of answering a telephone, is it not? When a call comes for your father or for your mother, you might pick up the telephone. How will you speak to the person who's on the other side? You don't know who that person is. He may be your father's office colleague, a person who works in the office with him. It may be from anybody else. But definitely, the person who is calling to your father will be much older than you. Is it not? So, we will see one example that he gives, the author gives, and we will see how we are going to use it in our daily lives. If you call Mr. Patel in his office, his secretary will receive the call, and before connecting to Mr. Patel, she would want to know who the caller is so that she can inform the same to Mr. Patel. What does the secretary say? The secretary, she does not say, who is this? She does not say, may I know who is calling? What does she say? Can I tell Mr. Patel who is calling, please? Mr. Patel is her boss. So, can I tell Mr. Patel who is calling? That is a third way of asking who it is. But why is this way the best? Because you want to talk to Mr. Patel. Okay. I do not wish to know who you are. The secretary does not want to know who is calling. She knows that the person who is calling wants to speak to Mr. Patel. But I must tell Mr. Patel who is calling him. But as a secretary, she has to know who is calling from the other side. Therefore, I am requesting you to tell me who you are. Now, I will just give you a small example. Suppose this is your father's telephone. The phone is ringing and you pick up the phone. The person who is calling is actually your father's colleague in the office. So when you pick up the phone, you ask, who's this? He's an elder person to you. He's senior. Is that the right way of asking? No. Or you may say, may I know who's speaking, please? Again, that also, because it is an elder person, it is not the best way to speak on the telephone. What would be the best way? You will say, can I tell my father who is calling, please? That means you're not asking the name directly. You're just telling, can I tell my father? My father wants to know who you are. So please give your name. That is the most polite way of speaking on the phone. Let us go to the next. Consider how we respond when someone says thank you to us. Now somebody is telling you thank you. You did a favor for the person, you helped that person, and that person is telling you, thank you. What will you say? Earlier days, people used to say, don't mention it. Huh? Please don't mention it, it's okay. Later, people started using the phrase, it's all right. Somebody is thanking you and you're saying, it's all right. Little bit not so good way of saying. When you say don't mention it, it is the best way. When you say it's all right, okay, not that good as in the earlier days. Nowadays, people say you're welcome or simply welcome. So this is the ways of saying when somebody tells you thank you, these are the ways how you will respond to them, how you will speak to them when they tell you thank you. Now here are some polite words which we should use in our day-to-day life. Please, thank you very much, you're welcome, don't mention it, not at all when you use, I think I gave you some problem, you helped me, but I think you had some difficulty. Then what is the person we will say? Not at all. It's okay, it's fine. The meaning of not at all is it's okay, it's fine. I'm sorry. Excuse me. You know all these words. No problem. It's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about it. So these are some of the polite words that we use in our daily life. Is it not? Now, one method of improving our communication with others is to put you before I. Think of it, when we say the alphabets A, B, C, D, which comes first? I or you? I comes first, is it not? You comes later. But here the author is telling us we should put you before I. You means you, the other person, before me. What he tells is, consider some words like union, united, building, guiding, trusting, communication, and so on. Which alphabet comes first? In these words, you, is it not? The alphabet I comes after you. So the author is telling, let us make it a practice to put you before I in our speech, daily speech. This indicates to us that we should try to put you, that is, the other person, before I. If I wish to thank someone for the nice party, I can say, your party was so enjoyable. I thank you. What would we normally say? We will normally say, I thank you so much for your party. I enjoyed your party, right? But here what he's saying is, your party was so enjoyable. I thank you. So what comes first? You comes first. I comes later. Another instance, your letter made me very happy. Again, your letter made me. Otherwise, what would you say? I was very happy with your letter. Is it not? So here we use the letter, we use the word you before we use the word I. You before I. Is this not what we do in our daily lives? When we are standing in a queue, if you're staying in a hostel, for instance, you will be standing in a queue for getting your food. Is it not? You will not run to the front because you're hungry. Just because you're hungry, because everybody else is hungry. So you will all be waiting patiently in the queue. Before you have your meal, you will be thanking God with a small prayer before eating the food. There again, it is some you before I means there it is the God before I. So you are giving importance to, before you take something, you're offering it to somebody else. In a queue, when you stand, you're allowing the person in front to go first. Now, just think, suppose you wanted to feed some dogs in your neighborhood. You get the bowls, you get the plates of the food ready, and you tell the dogs, now all of you please stand in a queue. Will they be standing in a queue? No, they will all come running for the food. In a similar way, suppose you tell a tiger, you keep the food in front of the tiger and you say, please tell your prayer before eating. What will the tiger do? The tiger will eat you up. Is it not? But we human beings are not made like that, because we have an intellect, we have the understanding of everything. Just look around in your own house. When somebody comes for a meal, what will your elders do? They will serve him first. Is it not? This is the tradition and culture in our country, which is Atithi Devo Bhava. That means treat your guest as God. How will you treat God if he comes into the house? Please treat your guest as God. You will also notice how your mother might tell you, please don't eat this, this is only for the guest. So that is our way of putting you before I. So this is how human beings are. Because of that we are called human beings. Is it not? We are different from animals. Why are we different from animals? Animals have also got the same. They need food. They need a place to sleep. They need shelter and everything they need. We also have the same needs. But how are we different from them? Because we have the feeling of the other person. That is why human beings can become scientists or a doctor or a saint. It may be noted that there is no limit to the improvement we can make in our action or speech. We can keep on improving our action and our speech. Nor can we say that a particular action or form of speech is the best. Can we say that this is better, it can't be better? No. We can always improve. Is it not? There is no formula. There is no particular way of doing something. Like you have a formula in maths, A plus B is equal to this. There is no formula saying that only this is right or only that is right. It all depends on the occasion. What is best may depend on the occasion, and it may be possible to continuously make improvement. The whole idea is to be aware of the need and the importance of doing and saying things better and better. What is the author saying here? He says that we must always feel that it is important to get better and better in whatever we do, to keep improving. Do you remember in the first session, we had spoken about how progress is a journey, not a destination. That means progress means it is not that we are going to reach somewhere and that is the final destination. And I gave you an example of how if you're not doing well in maths, you keep working from 60 marks to 70 marks to 80 marks, and then you reach 100. 100 is the destination, is it not? So one very bright student, a young girl, she came and told me, Madam, you told that she is a topper in the class, okay? She gets the highest marks in all the subjects. Only her maths marks were a little poor. So she came and asked me, Ma'am, you told that if I try to improve my marks from 60 and I get 100, then I will, that is progress. So if I get 100 marks in maths, that means I would have reached the destination. So I did not have an answer, immediate answer, because if I give any answer, wrong answer, there will be 10 more questions coming to me. So I told this young girl, please wait, I will come back to you with the answer the next day. So after thinking over it, I had to think a lot, mind you, because all of you students are very bright. So when she came to me, I told her, okay, dear girl, you are the topper in all the subjects. You are not doing well in maths. So you improved your marks from 70 to 100. Now you have reached your destination. Is it not? The destination for the 9th standard. What about when you go to the 10th? Is that not another journey? There again you will have to start, maybe from 70 to 100. So when you go to the 11th or pre-degree level, again it is another journey. So what does this mean? How should we perform? What we perform for the 9th standard will not be enough for the 10th standard. What we do in the 10th standard and come top will not be enough for the 11th standard. Similarly, it will go on to 12th standard and college, and thereafter it will be all your life. So we have to always keep improving ourselves, is it not? Whatever we do, we must try to do it better, because success or progress is not a destination. It is a journey for all our lives. Okay, students, now let us go to the key points of this chapter, of this session. In earlier days, if someone had to send an urgent message to people far away, he would go to a post office and send a telegram. The cost of the telegram would depend upon the number of words used. More the words, more would be the cost of the telegram. In order to save costs, people would use minimum words in a telegram. Why could they not use just one extra word, please? Today, we have the telephone and the internet, but have not necessarily improved in our manners. The author gives an example of how we can improve our telephonic conversations. This is what we have studied in today's session. Now we will go to the one more point. While speaking to others, as far as possible, we should try to use the word you before the word I. For example, instead of saying, I could do well in the examination thanks to your help, you could say, thanks to your help, I could do well in the examination. Putting the other person before oneself is a sign of a cultured person. There is no particular formula for improving our action and speech. To make progress, constant practice is necessary on our part. Now for the assignment. Question 1. Read and find the wrong sentence. Mark it with an X. You are requesting the librarian to lend you a book. What would you say? I need a book. Please lend me a book. Or may I borrow a book? One of these answers is not correct. So you please mark that answer as wrong. All these words are right, but there are two which are better than one answer. Your father is not at home. A call comes on his phone and you pick it up. What do you say? My father is not at home. Would you like to leave a message for him? May I know, second choice is, may I know who is calling, please? Third, hello, who is speaking? You helped a person and he said thank you. What would you say? Don't mention it. Oh, that is okay. Or you are welcome. You want to draw a person's attention. You want to call somebody who is a little far away, for instance. What will you say? May I have your attention, please? Hey, listen. Or excuse me. What would you use? Somebody has taken your book by mistake and apologizes to you. He tells you, I'm sorry. By mistake, I took the book. He's telling you, I took the book by mistake. What will you tell him? That's all right, no problem. Or would you say, don't worry about it? Or would you say, okay, don't repeat it? Question 2. What words usually make our inquiries polite? Illustrate with an example. This is a question. Which words will make your inquiries means you are asking something of somebody, that is inquiry. How can you make your inquiry polite? You please illustrate it with an example. Imagine that you are talking to someone on the phone. How would you start the conversation? That's an easy one, isn't it? You are talking so many times on the phone, and now we have learned some new things also. So you will be able to answer this question easily. Question 4. Why does the author say that there is no formula for best action or best form of speech? These are the questions. You have to write the answers and send to your teacher for correction. Here are some instructions for you, dear students. In your textbook, you will find questions and exercises at the end of each section and at the end of the lesson. You should complete all the questions and exercises given. Please keep a notebook for this purpose and ensure that your work is neatly done. With this, we have come to the end of the chapter, Whatever We Do. Hope you enjoyed the lesson and also learned something which you can use for your daily life. Thank you so much.